My phone buzzed, and I almost ignored it. I was tired that evening and just wanted to sleep. But when I saw the bank name on my screen, my eyes opened wide. I clicked the notification, and my heart started beating fast. Debit. $1,620 charged to your card. I sat up straight on my bed. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe the bank app was slow or had doubled an old transaction. I opened the app and refreshed the page again and again. The number did not change. $1,620. Gone. My hands felt cold. I whispered, "Who did this?" Then it hit me like a slap. Flights. My mom's voice came back in my head, clear like she was in the room. The flights are $2,150 each, she had said that morning. If you cannot afford it, stay behind. She had not said it softly. She said it in front of my brother, Daniel, and her friend on the phone. It felt like she was reminding everyone that I was the one who did not have money. I had laughed it off and said, "No problem, I will stay. I have bills to pay anyway." She just shrugged and kept talking about the trip. Now here I was, hours later, staring at a $1,620 charge on my card for something I did not buy. I clicked the transaction details. Airline, travel. My stomach turned. They used my card. I did not even need proof. I knew it in my bones. My mom and my brother had gone ahead and used my card to cover part of the flight, after telling me to stay behind because I could not afford it. My chest burned. It felt like betrayal and insult mixed together. I clicked on the "Dispute Transaction" button before my brain could even calm down. The app asked, "Did you make this purchase?" I pressed, "No." It asked for a reason. I typed with shaking fingers, "Unauthorized transaction. I did not approve this payment." I pressed send. As soon as I finished, my phone started to ring. It was Daniel, my brother. His name lit up the screen like a warning sign. My thumb hovered over the answer button. I could almost hear what he would say. "Hey, calm down. We were going to tell you. It is family, what is the big deal? Mom said you will understand." Maybe he would try to joke. Maybe he would shout. Maybe he would try to make me feel guilty for blocking the payment. Part of me wanted to hear his excuse. Another part of me felt something stronger than anger. It felt like a line had been crossed. I moved my thumb to the red button and let the phone ring. I did not pick. The sound of the ringtone filled the room, then stopped, then started again as he called again. I placed the phone face down on the bed and stared at the wall. My heart was loud in my ears, but in my mind I was very calm. They knew the flights were expensive. They knew I had rent, food, and my own life to take care of. They laughed when Mom said I should stay behind if I could not afford it. And now, they had gone into my back pocket without asking. Have you ever felt that slow, heavy anger that does not shout, but just sits inside and grows? That was how I felt. I thought about every time I had helped them. Every time I had sent money even when it was hard for me. Every time I had said, "It is fine," when it was not fine at all. Maybe you have done that too. You tell yourself it is family, so you keep forgiving. You keep saying yes when you should say no. You let people step over your borders until you forget you even have any. The phone stopped ringing. A second later, a message popped up. "Why did you dispute the payment?" It was from Daniel. Another message followed. "Pick my call. This is serious." I looked at the screen and finally smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the kind of smile you get when you realize people think you are weak, and you suddenly decide to show them that you are not. For the first time in a long time, I did not rush to explain myself. I did not rush to make anyone feel better. I did not rush to say, "Sorry," for something I did not do. Instead, I opened the family group chat and scrolled up to the message from Mom that morning. The flights are $2,150 each. If you cannot afford it, stay behind. I read it again, slowly. Then my phone buzzed again. This time it was not a call. It was a new notification from the bank about the dispute I had just raised. I opened it and my eyes widened as I read the first line. The bank message on my screen made my heart jump. "Your dispute has been received. Funds temporarily returned pending investigation." Just like that, the $1,620 appeared back in my balance. My chest loosened for the first time since I saw the charge. I felt a kind of relief mixed with something sharp. Power. The kind you feel when you finally take a step you were always afraid to take. Before I could breathe properly, my phone rang again. This time it was my mom. Her name shining on the screen did not make me panic. It made me angry. The same woman who told me to Stay behind if I cannot afford it, was now calling because the money she secretly took was slipping out of her hands. I let it ring until it stopped. She called again. I watched it ring. I did not pick. Then a message came in. Call me now. It's urgent. I read it twice, then locked my phone and placed it face down again. For years, she talked to me like I was the one who always needed help. She talked like my money did not matter. Like my feelings did not matter. Like I should be happy with whatever scraps she decided to give. But today, the script had changed. I got up from the bed and walked around my room, trying to think. Part of me felt guilty, the old part that always wanted peace. But another part whispered, they didn't think twice about using your card. They didn't think twice about leaving you behind. Why are you thinking twice now? And that part was right. The house felt too quiet. I grabbed a bottle of water and sat on the edge of the bed. Suddenly, I heard the front door downstairs slam. Heavy steps. Voices. My heart stopped for a second. Daniel. He didn't even knock. He pushed the door open like he owned the place. He looked annoyed, scared, and angry at the same time. Why are you ignoring your phone? He asked. His voice was too loud for my room. Mom is panicking. You messed everything up. I stared at him without moving. I messed up? I asked quietly. Yes. He shouted. Why would you dispute the charge? You know we needed those tickets. You know Mom can't use her card right now. I blinked. So you used mine. He looked away. That was the confirmation I needed. We were going to tell you, he muttered. When? I asked. After the flight, or when the bank came for me. You're overreacting, he said. It's family. Mom thought you would understand. You always do. That sentence hit harder than he expected. He was right. I always did. I always forgave. I always kept quiet. I always let them take. Not today. You should call the bank and cancel the dispute, he said. Mom is crying. She said you embarrassed her. I stood up slowly. She embarrassed herself when she used my card without asking. He opened his mouth, but I cut him off this time. You know what hurts the most, Daniel? She told me to stay behind because I couldn't afford the ticket. But she still took my money. Do you know how crazy that sounds? He didn't answer. He just stood there breathing hard. Then he pointed his finger at me. If this trip gets ruined because of you, Mom will never forgive you. I stared at him, and a calmness washed over me again. Good. He froze. He did not expect that answer. He expected me to fold like I always did. He stepped closer. Call the bank, he said, trying to sound firm. Fix it. I shook my head. No. The room went silent. He watched me like he didn't know who I was anymore. Then my phone buzzed loudly on the bed. Another bank notification. Daniel and I both looked at it. I picked up the phone with a steady hand, unlocked it, and read the message. My eyes slowly widened as the words settled in my mind. Something had changed with the dispute. Something that was about to make everything 10 times worse for them. Daniel saw my face and grabbed my arm. What happened? What did the bank say? I looked at him, and the shock on my face slowly shifted into something else. Something he had never seen on me before. I smiled. A cold, sharp smile. And then I read the message out loud. The bank has locked the transaction for investigation, I read slowly. And they've contacted the airline. The ticket linked to the charge may be cancelled while they review it. Daniel's face dropped so fast it almost looked funny. But nothing about this moment felt funny. It felt heavy. It felt like justice finally stretching its arms. He grabbed the phone from my hand and read the message again, his eyes racing left and right. No, this can't happen. Mom already checked in. She's packing. She's excited. You can't let this happen. You'll ruin everything. I stood there, calm. I didn't ruin anything. You and Mom did. He threw his hands up. We used your card because we didn't have enough left. She said you wouldn't mind. She said you'd understand. You always do. I'm not your wallet, I replied. And I'm not your backup plan. Daniel ran his hand over his head and started pacing the room. He looked like someone whose world was cracking open. For the first time, he looked scared of me. Not because I threatened him, but because I didn't bend. I didn't panic. I didn't apologize. He turned sharply toward me. Just call them and say it was a mistake. No, I said again. He stopped pacing. He stared at me like the word, no, was a foreign language. Then he tried something I didn't expect. He lowered his voice. Okay, look, I shouldn't have shouted. Mom shouldn't have taken your card. But you know how she is. You know she can be dramatic. Just undo the dispute so the flight doesn't get cancelled. I raised an eyebrow. Do you hear yourself? You're asking me to fix a problem you created. He sighed. I'm asking you not to destroy the whole trip. I didn't destroy anything. I protected myself. He stepped closer. You're doing this to punish us. I looked him straight in the eye. If I wanted to punish you, I wouldn't have only disputed the charge. I would have called the bank fraud line and filed a full report. His eyes widened. You wouldn't. Are you sure? Silence filled the room. Something in his expression shifted. It wasn't anger or fear anymore. It was guilt. Real guilt. The kind people feel only when they finally understand they crossed a line too far. He sat on the edge of my bed, shoulders dropping. Mum didn't mean it the way it sounded, he said quietly. She's stressed. She always thought you'd travel with us, but when you said you weren't coming, she got frustrated. She didn't want to leave you behind. I laughed once, a short sharp sound. She literally told me to stay behind. He looked down. She didn't mean it like that. I shook my head. She meant every word. He swallowed hard. Can you, please, just undo the dispute? I didn't answer him. Not yet. Instead, I sat beside him and spoke slowly. Daniel, if you or Mum had called me, asked me, explained things, maybe I would have helped. But you didn't. You just took. And then you expected me to smile and accept it. We were wrong, he whispered. Yes, I said. You were. He looked up. So, what now? I didn't even get to answer. My phone buzzed so hard it almost jumped off the bed. Another bank notification. Daniel and I looked at each other. I picked up the phone. And this time, when I read the message, my blood went cold. Not from fear, from shock. I read it again just to be sure I wasn't imagining it. My mouth slowly opened. Daniel grabbed my arm. What is it? What did the bank say now? I turned the phone toward him. He stared at the screen. His jaw dropped. The bank had just made a decision that would change everything, and it wasn't in their favor. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was who the bank said made the booking. I felt the room tilt slightly. Daniel stood up so fast the bed shook. He whispered, "No way. That's impossible." I looked at the screen again, my eyes widening as the truth settled in. And just as we both absorbed what the message revealed, we heard a loud bang at the front door downstairs. Someone had arrived at the house. The bang at the front door echoed through the house, loud enough to make both of us freeze. Daniel's eyes snapped toward the hallway. Mine followed slowly. For a full 3 seconds, we didn't move. The air felt heavy, like the house itself was holding its breath. Another bang, harder this time, then a voice. "Mum, are you home?" Daniel's face turned pale. It wasn't Mum's voice. It was Uncle James. The same uncle Mum always tried to impress. The same uncle who loaned her money last year and had been asking for it back ever since. The same uncle she always hid things from. Daniel stepped back like he'd seen a ghost. What is he doing here? Before I could answer, his phone vibrated. He quickly pulled it out, read the message, and almost cursed. "Mum told him to come here," he muttered. "She said you were acting up and we needed, family, to talk to you." I stared at him. So now I'm the problem. He rubbed his face. "She thinks you reported her to the bank for fraud." I blinked. But I didn't. He held up my phone, pointing at the bank message. The bank said the purchase didn't match the cardholder's usual location. They think the transaction came from someone logged into the airline account from a different device. They asked who made the booking. I nodded. "And the name wasn't yours or Mum's." He swallowed hard. "It was Aunt Maria's." That was the twist neither of us saw coming. Aunt Maria, Mum's older sister. The one who always pretended she was above everyone. The one who used to borrow Mum's things without returning them. The one Mum trusted blindly. "She used Mum," I whispered. "She used all of us." Daniel nodded slowly. "She logged into Mum's airline account. She saved your card details months ago when you paid for that family dinner. She used your card like it was normal." The truth settled in my chest like a rock. All this time, I thought Mum and Daniel took my money. But someone else had done it in silence. And Mum, instead of asking questions, blamed me the moment things went wrong. Another bang came from downstairs. "Open the door. It's urgent." It was Uncle James again. Daniel looked at me in panic. "If he thinks you're trying to ruin the trip, he'll take Mum's side. He always does. And he'll shout the whole house down." I stayed quiet, thinking. For years, Mum treated Aunt Maria like she was perfect. And she treated me like a backup plan. Never the favorite, never the trusted one, always the, be responsible, child while Maria could do anything she wanted. And now, Maria had used her account to book flights and used my card to pay for it, without telling anyone. Daniel took a deep breath. What do we do? I stood up slowly. We tell the truth. He shook his head fast. No, Mom will be embarrassed. She should be, I said. She yelled at me this morning. She told me to stay behind. She let someone else use my card without asking me. She trusted the wrong person. Daniel stared at me. He didn't agree, but he didn't argue. Downstairs, the door opened. Uncle James entered the house. His shoes were loud on the tiles as he walked in. Where are you two? Come down now. Daniel looked like he wanted to disappear into the wall. He's going to make this worse. I walked to the door calmly. Let him. We stepped into the hallway. Uncle James stood there, tall, annoyed, and ready for a fight. There you are, he said sharply. Your mom is crying. She said you're creating problems. What's this nonsense about flight cancellation? I didn't shake. I didn't stutter. I didn't try to explain softly like I always did. I handed him my phone. Read it yourself. He took the phone, annoyed at first. But as he scrolled, his face changed. His eyebrows pulled together. His mouth tightened. His eyes scanned again and again. He lifted his head slowly. Your mom didn't book this, he said. Your brother didn't book this. Your Aunt Maria did. I nodded. Exactly. Daniel looked at me like he finally understood why I wasn't panicking. Uncle James rubbed his chin. Do you know what this means? I did, but I waited for him to say it. This is fraud, he said quietly. Real fraud, airline fraud, card fraud, and your aunt has been using your mother's account without permission. This isn't a family argument. This is a crime. Daniel sat down on the stairs, overwhelmed. Uncle James looked at me. The bank will ask questions. The airline will too. Your mother will be forced to tell the truth. There's no avoiding this now. His voice grew quieter. This is going to break the family open. I didn't speak. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I simply said, maybe it needed to break. Uncle James stared at me like he had never seen me before. Then suddenly, another knock came from the door. A sharp, official-sounding knock. Daniel jumped up. Who was that? I stepped toward the door, my heart beating slowly but steadily. When I opened it, the next extreme event hit us hard. Because standing outside was someone none of us expected. The person standing outside the door made all three of us freeze. It wasn't Mum. It wasn't Aunt Maria. It wasn't a neighbor. It was a man in a navy jacket with a badge clipped to the front. He held a small folder in his hand, and his expression was serious, calm, and official. Good afternoon, he said. I'm here regarding a report of unauthorized card usage connected to a flight booking. I need to speak with the cardholder. Daniel's mouth dropped open. Uncle James stepped back like the air had been punched out of him. I stood completely still for a second, then lifted my hand. I'm the cardholder, I said. He nodded once. May I come in? I stepped aside, and he entered. The silence in the room felt thick. Daniel and Uncle James exchanged looks of panic. The officer opened the folder. We received confirmation from the airline. Someone used your card through another person's saved profile. We traced the login. It was made from a different IP address than the one registered to the account owner. That's my aunt, I said quietly. Aunt Maria, he wrote something. And you didn't authorize her to use your card? No, I answered. I didn't even know she had access. He nodded again. The airline canceled the ticket connected to the disputed payment. Since it was linked to a passport under your mother's name, this has caused a travel security hold on her file. Daniel gasped. What does that mean? The officer answered simply. It means she won't be able to fly until the matter is cleared. Uncle James rubbed his forehead. Lord have mercy. The officer turned to me. The bank may require a full statement from you. If this escalates, they may also need a statement from your mother to confirm who had access to her profile and devices. I nodded calmly. I'll cooperate. He closed his folder. Good. I'll file this update and contact you if needed. Then he handed me a card. If your aunt tries to reach you or pressure you, call this number. I took the card and thanked him. He walked out. The door clicked shut. Silence followed for 10 long seconds. Then Daniel exploded. This is a disaster. Mum won't be able to travel now. She'll say it's your fault. She'll lose her mind. Uncle James cut him off. Stop blaming her. If Maria stole the card information, she caused this. And your mother allowed too much access. This family has been careless for too long. Daniel looked at me, breathing hard. Why didn't you just cancel the dispute? Why did you let it go this far? I looked him straight in the eye. Because no one listens until things go too far. He opened his mouth to argue, but the truth in my voice shut him up. Uncle James sat down on the armchair. Your mother did wrong, he said quietly. She humiliated you this morning. She didn't ask before using your card. And she protected Maria without knowing what she was doing. He continued, these consequences you're all facing, were created long before today. Daniel sank onto the stairs, defeated. So what now? He whispered. I took a deep breath. Now, Mum faces what she created. And Aunt Maria faces what she caused. And you? Uncle James asked. I'm done being the quiet one who fixes everything, I said. I'm done being used. I'm done letting everyone treat my money and my kindness like tools. He nodded slowly. Good. Maybe this family needed someone to say no. Just then, my phone buzzed. A message from Mum. Are you happy now? The flight is cancelled. Everything is ruined. I stared at the message, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel small. I felt free. I typed back one sentence. This time, Mum, you ruined it yourself. I put the phone down. Daniel looked at me with a mix of shock and understanding. Uncle James nodded, as if he'd been waiting years to hear someone in this house say the truth out loud. And that was when I realized something important. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's just finally letting people carry the consequences they've been handing you for years. As the house went quiet again, I felt something I had never felt in this family before. Respect. And for the first time in a long time, I knew exactly who I was. And who I would never allow them to turn me into again.